Shri Guruve Namaha Acharyam Mam Vijaniyan Navamanyeta Karhichit Namartya Budya Suyeta Sarvadeva Mayo Guru. He Param Priyatam Purnatam Purushottam Shri Krishna, तुमसे विमुख होने के कारण अनादिकाल से हमने अनंत अनंत दुख पाए एवं पा रहे हैं। पाप करते करते अंतःकरण इतना मलिन हो चुका है कि रसिकों द्वारा यह जान भी अपनी भुजाओं के पसारे अपनी वात्सल्यमयी दृष्टि से हमारी प्रतीक्षा कर रहे हो, तुम्हारी शरण में नहीं आ पाता। O my divine beloved, causelessly merciful Sri Krishna, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, having ignored you since time immemorial, I have been suffering due to sins committed lifetime after lifetime. It has made my mind so polluted, even though your saints are telling me you're waiting for me with arms outstretched to embrace me, with divine eyes to grace me. Still, I fail to surrender to you completely. All glories to Sri Radhesham. All glories to all saints and sages. All glories to the Devas. All glories to all aspiring souls. Thank you for joining me on meditating on the Lord. Remembrance is what meditation is all about. There must be a subject of meditation. The subject of meditation to achieve God naturally has to be God. God is a natural phenomenon consisting of these 5 aspects. God is one, but everything about God is absolute. Like, my name is Arjun, but my body is different from me, the soul. But where God is concerned, His forms, His countless forms, His countless names, His countless qualities, His countless activities, His countless abodes, and His countless God-realized saints are no different from that one God called Sri Krishna. So, my dear aspiring souls, in this age of ignorance, in this dark age called Kali Yuga, the means by which one can attain God is chanting His names, glories, pastimes, remembering while chanting His names and glories and pastimes is more critical than simply chanting His names. We have to engage the mind in the activity of chanting. If I'm saying Krishna, Krishna, and I'm not thinking of Nandalal, Yashoda, Dular, that Krishna, that particular Krishna, if I'm not thinking of that particular Krishna, then I'm not chanting the name of God. Because there are many Krishnas in the world. There are many Rams in the world. There are many Radhas in the world. So one needs, along with vocalizing, along with chanting the name of God, to engage the mind in remembering whose name you're calling. This is very crucial. This is very important. Then you can begin to experience a sense of separation from the one that you're longing to see, that you're thinking of, that you're longing to meet, only then you will benefit from chanting the name of the Lord. So, my dear aspiring souls, while chanting the name of God, try to bring His form into your mind. Just as when you have someone who may have gone abroad. Naturally, the way the mind works, when that person, you think of that person, that particular person, oh, what's his name again? Yeah, you remember that fellow who used to always join us in Kirtan and we used to be together, and you remember those good times? What's his name again? Oh, Umesh. Then the name comes. So this is the practice. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam is an inseparable practice. If we just chant the name alone, engage in the senses alone by repeating the name Krishna. Now, which Krishna are you thinking of? So, Ved Vyas advises that we should engage the body and the senses in chanting the names of Krishna. And Garga Muni, the name-giving guru of Balaram and Krishna, he advises no, include the mind along with the senses. And Sri Hanuman, he says not only use the senses and the body and the mind, also utilize dance. So while chanting, remembering Sri Krishna, which is the function of the mind, the eyes see, the ears hear, and the tongue speak, but it is the mind that remembers. It is the mind that is the storehouse of all your activities. It is the mind that has to remember. So, Sri Krishna says in the Gita, I am the mind among the senses. So you have to engage Sri Krishna. You have to remember Krishna, that Sarvasya chaham hridesani vistum mataha smitir jnanam apo anam cha. Sri Krishna declares in the Gita in 15:15 that I reside within, hirde, inside. He is the mind among the senses. And therefore from him comes memory, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So Sri Krishna, he doesn't force anyone to do anything. If you desire to engage him, which is the mind, in the remembrance of him, he provides you memory. And if you choose to ignore him while chanting his names, you're just chanting Krishna, Krishna, and you're ignoring him and not including him, which is your mind, which is him, then he will allow you to forget him. Your mind will be in the world and you will be repeating Krishna, Krishna. This will not bear the fruit of devotion. This will not purify the mind. You see, the mind is dirty right now. For countless lives, we have done many wrong deeds, even on the calculation of one sin per life. Since we have lived countless lives already, it means that we have accumulated countless sins. We have done both good and evil deeds in countless lives. So just on the calculation of one sin per life, we have countless sins since we have lived countless lives. So if you choose to not engage the mind, which is not engage in Krishna's provision of memory, because memory comes from him, as the scripture says, Smritir Jnanam Apo Anam Cha. From me only, Sri Krishna is saying, memory, knowledge, and forgetfulness. He controls that. So, my dear aspiring souls, while chanting the name of Krishna, try to hear that name with your ears, Shravan, Kirtan, and Smaran. Use this as a package. This is an instrument. This is the way to properly chant. It's why Prabhupada many times declare, pay attention. You will hear him in many bits when he is being recorded. He would say while chanting, pay attention. You have to engage your mind, which is the instrument that pays attention. It's not your eyes that pays attention. It's not your tongue that pays attention. It's your mind. So this is the main thing where chanting is concerned. Rup Dhyan. Ved Vyas declares, after churning the scriptures for many, many times, my conclusion is that Dhyan, meditation on the Supreme Lord, is the culmination of all practices. This is also accredited by Rup Goswami in his Nectar of Devotion, in which he declares that there are two things. One is a prohibition, which is never forget Krishna. And the rule is always remember Krishna. So, remembrance of the Supreme Lord and never forgetting the Supreme Lord is the culmination of all devotional practices. The Navara Bhakti is meant, devotion is meant for you to engage your memory in Krishna, and then after a while this practice of remembering Sri Krishna again and again develops slowly through incremental growth, and eventually your mind spontaneously remembers Krishna because it is now absorbed in thoughts of his forms, qualities, and pastimes. This is the gist of what Rup Dhyan means. To engage your mind in the remembrance of Krishna's forms, qualities, and pastimes. The mind must be engaged in his names, forms, qualities, and pastimes. Why? If you're chanting the name Krishna, Krishna, apart from us, the individual soul, there are only two other existences. The scriptures describe that there are three eternal existences. The Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, you and I, individual souls, and material nature, Maya. So these three are eternal existences. The soul is conscious. Why? Because the Supreme Lord lives in the soul. The Supreme Lord lives in the soul and gives the soul consciousness. The Supreme Lord, Ya Atmani Tishtati. Tishtati means he resides within you and I, the individual soul, and gives consciousness to us who are conscious soul. And the material nature is an unconscious entity. So, apart from you and I, the individual soul, there's only two places in where your mind, where you can remember, on which you can meditate. That is the world or the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. So if you are chanting the names of God and you're not engaging your mind in deliberately, willfully trying to remember his qualities and pastimes, then your mind will remain in the world. If you died at that moment, you don't get Krishna even though you are saying Krishna, Krishna. The rule is that yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyaja tanta kalevaram tam tam eva ete kuntiya saratat bhavaha bhavitaha. This is the rule. Whoever one leaves his mortal body, this physical body, whoever one leaves this physical body, whatever one thinks of at the time while leaving his body at the time of death, he attains that and that only. This is the rule. Your last thoughts will determine where you go. It is said that death is such a traumatic experience that most people faint before dying. Just before you die, you become unconscious. The pain is so severe. Notice it. Most people, when they're dying, they start to lose the ability to speak. The senses start withdrawing, and then they usually become unconscious. Then death occurs. So, unless you practice to remember Sri Krishna all through your life, at the time of death, you will not suddenly remember him because you're saying Krishna, Krishna, or you're hearing Krishna, Krishna. It's not going to be possible. So, Saratat Bhavaha Bhavita, Sri Krishna says, by having repeatedly chanted his names, remembering his forms and qualities and pastimes throughout your life, it is likely that you will remember him because you have become absorbed in thought. Saratat Bhavaha. You have always been absorbed in thoughts of Sri Krishna, then you will go to Sri Krishna. If you're absorbed in thoughts of your grandson or your granddaughter or your money or wherever your mind's observation is in, whoever your mind is absorbed in, you will go to them. That's the rule. So, my dear aspiring souls, the mind alone is the cause of bondage in the world. And the mind alone can be the cause of your liberation. If you utilize the mind by practicing to remember Sri Krishna's forms while chanting his names, you remember his forms, qualities, pastimes, his abodes, his saints. This is what Krishna is. Krishna says again and again, Mam eva manadata, fix your mind on me alone. But what does Krishna alone mean? Krishna alone means his countless names. Ram, Sri Krishna, Lord Shiva, Radhe. The associates of Krishna are none different from him. In 1855 of the Gita, Sri Krishna is describing that Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyas chasmi tatvataha tato mam tatvato gyatva vishate sad tad anantaram, in which he describes that, listen, the devotee, true devotion, he realizes that I am the Lord of all potencies, the sweet absolute. Then, realizing his divine relationship with me, he enters the company of my intimate associates, the saints of God, the God-realized souls who have attained Sri Krishna, are his intimate associates. And Sri Krishna is inviting us to become one of his intimate associates through leaving this world absorbed in thoughts of him only. So then, realizing his divine relationship with me, he enters the company of my intimate associates who are none different from my very self. So when someone becomes God-realized through practice of devotion, he's called Sadhan Siddh. There are three types of individual souls. Nitya Siddhas, who are already the eternal associates of Sri Krishna. Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, all the countless expansions of the Lord are his eternal associates. The countless expansions of the Lord are Nitya Siddhas. They utilize the same potency as Sri Krishna, Yog Maya. The power of Yog Maya is that you can do what is possible, you can do what is impossible, and you can do simultaneously what is possible and impossible. Kartum akartum anyata kartum samartha hai. You can do what is possible, you can do what is impossible, and you can do simultaneously both what is possible and impossible. You can stretch your hand from here to America and take something. You can become small like an atom, or you can become big like the sky. You can disappear, you can appear. All the things that God can do now becomes the facility of those Nitya Siddhas. Those are no different than Sri Krishna. Then there is Sadhan Siddh. Those of us who are here now given this opportunity by practicing love and devotion to Sri Krishna. All of us are maybe working for a living, so Sri Krishna advises this. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudyacha mayarpito mano buddhir mam eva yasya samseha. In 8.7 of the Gita, Sri Krishna says you can do this while performing your duties in the world. Your mind usually is not on what you're doing. When the first person started typing on a keyboard, he had to look at every single letter. But after a few months, a year goes by, he stops looking at the letter and he's just typing. So in the same way, you can multitask. You can do many things if you practice. So you can practice to perform your duties in the world and at the same time practice to engage your mind in remembrance of Sri Krishna. So Sri Krishna says, wherever you go, whatever you do, at all time and in all places, keep your mind on me and perform your duty. And with your mind and intelligence fixed on me, becoming absorbed in me, you will come to me. Of this there is no doubt. You will remember Sri Krishna while you're leaving this body. You see, who you practice remembering again and again, through hate or love, because you may leave this world absorbed in hate of someone. Like Amba in the Sri Mahabharata. Amba was a daughter of the king of Kashi who was abducted by Bhishma Pita, so that he brought her to Hastinapur so she will get married to Vichittravira, his brother. But Amba was already betrothed to Shalya, and she told the queen mother Satyavati, this is the situation, I'm already in love with Shalya. And I was afraid to tell Bhishma, but you are a mother, you are a woman, you can understand. And so Satyavati told Bhishma, take back her with all honor and take her to Shalya. Shalya, being a Kshatriya, the spirit of honor is most important to a king. He said, no, I don't want anything, charity. I don't want charity. There's an apprehension in wealthy men to accept charity because they can't tolerate the feeling that they want anything, especially from a lower person, especially if a beggar gives a king a donation. It's not the king's, it's not the beggar's glory. It's the king's glory because he accepted from the beggar. So in the same way, Shalya refused, and then she demanded that Bhishma should marry her. Bhishma refused because he had made a vow of celibacy, lifelong celibacy. Then she went to Parshuram, Bhishma's guru, complained to him. Parshuram fought with Bhishma over this issue, and Bhishma, being Devrat, was educated by the Devas and given conquest weapons by the Devas. He overcome Parshuram, and then having no other recourse, Amba prayed to Lord Shiva, who then gave her a boon, and hear what she wanted. Look how we can destroy our life over hate. She hated Bhishma so much that when Lord Shiva blessed her and asked her to say, ask me for a boon, Baramango, ask me for a blessing. She could have asked for liberation. She could have asked for anything. But she said, I want to be the cause of Bhishma's death. So Lord Shiva blessed her that next life you will come back among Bhishma. You will come back in the form of a man called Shikandi. And through Shikandi, Bhishma was killed. Because Bhishma recognized Shikandi's soul. He's a God-realized soul, so he recognized who Shikandu really was, that it was Amba. And he put down his weapons, and that way Arjun was able to kill him. So my dear aspiring souls, be careful of who you're again and again thinking of. Attachment comes in rag or dvesh. Dvesh means, like Amba, you became absorbed, attached in hate, to the point where in your next life, you go back to that same person who you hated and was absorbed in thoughts of. Maybe you're born back as their wife or their husband, and you end up continuing the fight in the next life, like Amba with Bhishma. Or you can become absorbed in thoughts of love. Rag means absorbed in favorable thoughts. Dvesh means absorbed in hateful, negative thoughts. So in this way, we should practice Rup Dhyan so that we can become absorbed in Sri Krishna before we leave this world. Then we will go to him. Jai Radhe.